Okay, welcome to this little piece about Babel. I have found evidence at my site that links the site to Babel, and we are going to explore that right now. We all know the story about the Tower of Babel, where a man supposedly created a tower that went up to the heavens. It is always talked about these days as a story about the hubris of humanity, that we are arrogant and want to be as gods. But let's first take a look at what the story says itself. Now we find it in Genesis chapter 11, the first books of the Bible, and the text goes like this. Genesis 11 verse 1 to 9. And the whole earth was of one language and of one speech. And it came to pass, as they journeyed from the east, that they found a plain in the land of Shinar, and they dwelt there. And they said one to another, Go to, let us make brick, and burn them thoroughly. And they had brick for stone, and slime had they for mortar. And they said, Go to, let us build us a city, and a tower, whose top may reach unto heaven. And let us make us a name, lest we be scattered abroad upon the face of the whole earth. And the Lord came down to see the city and the tower, which the children of man builded. And the Lord said, Behold, the people is one, and they have all one language. And this they began to do. And now nothing will be restrained from them, which they have imagined to do. Go to, let us go down, and there confound their language, that they may not understand one another's speech. So the Lord scattered them abroad from thence upon the face of all the earth, and they left off to build the city. Therefore is the name of it called Babel, because the Lord did there confound the language of all the earth, and from thence did the Lord scatter them abroad upon the face of all the earth. Now, reading this story, it's always a little bit strange, because we are dealing with a God who is not happy that people are building a tower that reaches into the heaven. Now, this points to the fact that this God is quite insecure about himself, because why is it a bad idea that his people become so knowledgeable that they can build a tower that reaches up into heaven? Why is God feeling competition? Another question is Babel, because if you look at verse 9, it says, Therefore the name of it is called Babel. So when you read the first part of this verse, you would expect an explanation about what the word Babel means. But all it says is that because the Lord did there confound the language of all the earth. That is not an explanation for what the word actually means. So let's take a closer look at the word Babel. When you're dealing with the old Hebrew language and even modern Hebrew, you notice that in the writing chart over here, that you have three different writing systems next to each other. You have the Hebrew alphabet going from Aleph, Bet, Vet until Tav at the end. But you notice that there is a standard version, there is a print version, and there is also a handwritten version. Now, if you look at the handwritten version, then you see that, let's zoom into this. If you look at the handwritten version, you see that it takes this form. It's the shape of the head of a bird. If you accept that Hebrew is a visual language, which I'm a believer in, then you notice that this looks sort of like the head of a bird. And the vet, the second letter of the word of Babel, is also sort of like a bird. Now, the third letter of the Babel, which consists of three consonants, Bet, Vet and Lamet, we see that it is this curly thing here. It looks a bit like the letter J or L in my language. But Lamet is also well known because it's the tallest letter in the Hebrew alphabet. It sticks out if you have all the letters on the when you write Hebrew. This one is sticking above it, and it has draws always attention in when it's used in the word. Now, let's continue. Here you have the Hebrew word Babel. You read it from right to left, and you see that it takes this shape. You have one little face, a second little face, and then this lamed. But if you look at the written version, you have the beak of a bird, another beak of a bird but without an eye, and then you have this curly thingy which looks like a snake standing up or a cobra standing up. Now, is this coincidence? Well, you could think so, but then again we will find arguments that why I think it's not. So the hypothesis I make when I see this word is just, you see, you have a hawk. Why not? It has a hawk has a sharp beak and has eyes that are piercing. You have an eagle, which looks from above, but it could be any bird. At this stage you don't know. And you could have lamets symbolizing, maybe if it is an animal, it looks like a snake. So I was looking in Hebrew for names of birds that started with a bet and the vet, but my Hebrew isn't what it's supposed to be. So I found for eagle, I found nesher. For hawk, I found nets. And for dragon, I found lana. I am hoping I'm not mispronouncing this too awful. In any case, my excuses to any Hebrew native. This is just what I found. I'm doing the best I can, and in the future my best will be better. So when you go to places, online utilities like Bible Hub, you find that there is a dictionary that is used, Strong's Concordance table, which put all the names in the Bible into a table from their first appearance. So this table continues in many thousands of words, and number 3930 in this case is the word loa, which means throat. 3939 is lana, which means wormwood. Now, wormwood is not a word you associate with a snake immediately, but I will come back to this in a while. Now, if we look at the sites that I have found, you notice a couple of things. You can make a triangle between this shape over here, and this shape. Now, for those who watched the other videos, you already know that this is a hawk, which we related to the god Horus. This is an eagle, which can be many birds, which can be many deities, I'm sorry. Here we have something that looks like what we call a sphinx or a birdman, the birdman being represented in many ancient religions as part and parcel of the core of their creed and religion. And here in the right triangle corner we have what appears to be a dragon. Now let me go to the next slide to provide you with some more detail. The association I make is that this is a hawk, which I use the Hebrew word nets for. But then again, if there are Hebrew speakers who know a word that begins with a bet or a vet and signifies a bird, or a good dictionary I could use to make those associations, which are also accessible to, for instance, English speakers, then I would be very much helped with that. This is a hawk. Well, this is an eagle, which I found nesher could be a stand-in for. And here is what is really looking like a dragon. Now, it is part of the triangle, and you really have to take a close look once I published all the details. you will really see that this looks like the head of the dragon. This is an egg, and here you have well, first of all, here this part is the long neck of dragon, then you have the front feet, then you have the back part of the dragon, and here you have a tail that is curled up. Now I have already associated this part with the stars, because if you look at it from a distance, let me move my face away, you see that this forms a triangle. Now this can be related to the summer triangle of the Aquila constellation of Lyra, which is also associated with the hawk of Horus, or Horus the hawk, and Draco, or the dragon. And in the middle you have something that in Egyptian faith is associated with the Bennu bird, or the bird that goes into ashes and returns from the ashes. So it's what we know as the phoenix. So yeah, basically this is it. You have the triangle at our side. You have 3 points associated with an animal. These animals correspond to the letters of the word Babel, and Babel is a place mentioned and referenced to in Genesis. So what I'm stating here is that Babel has nothing to do with the later Babylon that is situated in Mesopotamia, but on a site that I am not yet disclosing in Africa. Now, because I showed you the dragon at our site, we now know that this symbol used here for the snake is indeed representative of a dragon, and it's also why it is the biggest letter in the Hebrew alphabet, because if you talk about animals, it is dwarfing all other animals. And again, I can show this. If you look at our dragon here, the scale is 90 meters. So this is about twice 90 meters, meaning that it's about 180 to 200 meters long. That's very big. I can show this on Google Earth and other satellite image providers that this is indeed the case. One more thing. I mentioned these two words in Hebrew. One was loa, the other was throat, and now we see that lana, the word throat and snake, would form a good combination. Normally for serpent we use nahas, but lana would be closer to or maybe a good association. So in my opinion, we have enough information to combine throat with snake. The Nikot system, because it's a convention added when the Masoretic text was produced, can be disregarded. I only use the Nikot system where it provides visual relationships that I could not find otherwise. So I'm a little bit selective in my approach, that is true. But it is very productive because I can always make associations with the site. So what do we see? We see a dragon or dinosaur, which is a snake with a long neck or throat. Any way you put it, one of the ways to describe a snake is a dragon, or a brontosaurus is a snake with a long neck. I wouldn't use throat, but they obviously did. So it's a Naha, and in my opinion, when we combined the two, we discovered the old word for dinosaur, which was composite Lana or Loa Naha. So yeah, I'm interested to find out what you think about this. Well, other candidates I found for the B with Babel, but I'm still looking, is Perez, like in Simon Perez or Simon the Vulture. Now we have many cultures in Anatolia who have pictures of vultures on walls, so that should be taken as a possible candidate. Now I use the word for vulture in Hebrew, which is Perez, but the P in Hebrew could have morphed into a B and vice versa. Now this is not necessarily the truth, but I take it as a possibility. But Babel in itself, these three words by themselves are already a strong clue. Okay, I hope you found this interesting. I'm trying to make videos as short as possible. I'm still learning the skill, but let me know what you think, and please do comment. Okay, thank you very much, and see you next time.